Hey everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Story Dose. We're actually taking a slightly different approach today, and we're going to be talking about leadership. In this book, The 21 Indispensable Qualities of a Leader, John does a really good job of sharing stories that embody the things that he's trying to teach us through leadership. And I'm actually going to be reading from a passage about security and insecurity, or some things that I've dealt with in my own journey as a leader. I want to do my best to share these things with you guys. This book has been super influential in my life. So let's jump in. And chapter 17, Security. Competence never compensates for insecurity. You can't lead people if you don't need people. John C. Maxwell. No man will make a great leader who wants to do it all himself or get all the credit of doing it. Andrew Carnegie. A constitution of iron and security to match. During the term of President Ronald Reagan, leaders of 7 industrial nations were meeting in the White House to discuss economic policy. Reagan has recounted that during the meeting, he came across Canadian Prime Minister Pierre Trudeau strongly upbraiding British Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher, telling her that she was all wrong and that her policies wouldn't work. She stood there in front of him with her head up, listening until he was finished. Then she walked away. Following the confrontation, Reagan went up to her and said, "Maggie, he should never have spoken to you like that. He was out of line, just entirely out of line. Why did you let him get away with that?" Thatcher looked at Reagan and answered, "A woman must know when a man is being simply childish." That story surely typifies Margaret Thatcher. It takes a strong, secure person to succeed as a world leader, and that is especially true when the person is a woman. Margaret Thatcher has continually swum upstream throughout her life. As a student at Oxford University, she majored in chemistry, a field dominated by men, and she became the first woman president of the Oxford University Conservative Association. A few years later, she qualified as a lawyer and practiced as a tax specialist. In 1959, Thatcher entered politics, another overwhelmingly male profession, when she was elected as a member of Parliament. Analytical, articulate, and calm under fire, she was frequently asked by her party to face opponents in debate. Her skill and conviction may have been fired by an attitude she learned from her father, who told her, "You don't follow the crowd, you make up your own mind." Her strong resolve and high competence earned her several government posts. It was during her tenure as Secretary of State for Education and Science that she was referred to as the most unpopular woman in Britain. But Thatcher didn't waver under the criticism. She continued working hard and gaining people's respect. Her reward was being named the first female prime minister in the history of Britain. In that position, she continued to face criticism. She weathered abuse for privatizing state-owned industries, reducing the role of organized labor, sending troops to the Falkland Islands, and maintaining conservative policies against the Soviet Union. But no matter how severely she was criticized, she remained secure in her convictions and maintained her self-respect. She once said, "To me, consensus seems to be the process of abandoning all beliefs, principles, values, and policies in search of something in which no one believes. What great cause would have been fought and won under the banner, 'I stand for consensus'?" Thatcher stood for conviction and leadership. And as a result, the Iron Lady, as she was called, was elected to 3 consecutive terms as Prime Minister. She is the only British leader of the modern era to achieve that. Margaret Thatcher appeared to have no doubts about herself or her beliefs, and she was absolutely secure in her leadership as a result. That is the case of all great leaders. No one can live on a level inconsistent with the way he sees himself. You may have observed that in people. If someone sees himself as a loser, he finds a way to lose. Anytime his success surpasses his security, the result is self-destruction. That's not only true for followers, but it's also true for leaders. Insecure leaders are dangerous to themselves, their followers, and the organizations they lead because a leadership position amplifies personal flaws. Whatever negative baggage you have in life only gets more difficult to bear when you're trying to lead others. Secure leaders have several common traits. They don't provide security for others. An old saying states, "You cannot give what you do not have." Just as people without skill cannot impart skill to others, people without security cannot make others feel secure. And for a person to become an effective leader, the kind that others want to follow, he needs to make his followers feel good about themselves. Number 2, they take more from people than they give. Insecure people are on a continual quest for validation, acknowledgement, and love. Because of that, their focus is on finding security, not instilling it in others. They are primarily takers rather than givers, and takers do not make good leaders. 3, they continually limit their best people. Show me an insecure leader, and I'll show you someone who cannot genuinely celebrate his people's victories. He might even prevent them from realizing any victories, or he might take credit personally for the best work on the team. As I mentioned in the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership, only secure leaders give power to others. That's the law of empowerment. But an insecure leader hoards power. In fact, the better his people are, the more threatened he feels, and the harder he will work to limit their success and recognition. 4, they continually limit the organization. When followers are undermined and receive no recognition, they become discouraged and eventually stop performing at their potential. And when that happens, the entire organization suffers. In contrast, secure leaders are able to believe in others because they believe in themselves. They aren't arrogant, they know their own strengths and weaknesses and respect themselves. When their people perform well, they don't feel threatened. They go out of their way to bring the best people together and then build them up so that they will perform at the highest level. And when a secure leader's team succeeds, it brings them great joy. He sees that as the highest compliment he can receive for his leadership ability. How well do you understand and respect yourself? Do you know your strengths and feel good about them? Have you recognized your weaknesses and accepted the ones you can't change? When a person realizes that he is created with a particular personality type and has unique gifts, he is better able to appreciate the strengths and successes of others. How secure are you as a leader? When a follower has a great idea, do you support it or suppress it? Do you celebrate your people's victories? When your team succeeds, do you give the members credit? If not, you may be dealing with insecurity, and it could be limiting you, your team, and your organization. Phenomenal book. I love the fact that he starts every chapter with some type of story that lays out the principle in which he is trying to drive home. And it talks about very much the stories of our own lives. If you guys want to become amazing leaders, I think that the 21 Indispensable Qualities of a Leader is actually a better book than the 21 Irrefutable Laws, even though the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership is arguably Maxwell's most famous leadership book. Make sure you go grab a copy. I know I don't have a cover for you guys here, but it's called the 21 Indispensable Qualities of a Leader. Thanks you guys for joining me on Story Dose. Some of the things we talked about in this, about leadership, security, complimenting others, finding a mission and a drive, understanding weaknesses and things like that, I talk about in my book, You're Not Special, You're Gifted. It is available for a pre-order now and will be coming out very soon. August 24th is the release date for that to go live. So make sure that you grab your copy of my book and go grab a copy of the 21 Indispensable Qualities of a Leader while you're at it. Thank you guys so much for being here. This has been great. And I'll see you next time on Story Dose.